If you think stretching alone will fix your hip pain, it won't. Until you build strength along with it, you're kind of just wasting your time. But here's what actually works. These 4 exercises will combine strength and mobility and will eliminate hip flexor pain for good. And just to prove it, we're going to start with a test that you can actually do right now. This is a single leg L sit. What you're going to do is sit in your butt, keep both legs straight, pick a leg and lift it up off the floor. And you're going to feel a deep burn in your hip flexor right at the top of your thigh here. Now, I'm going to take a guess and say that the side that feels tighter is going to be a little bit more difficult to hold in the air. If you need to make it easier, just lean back a little bit more. And if you want to make it a bit more challenging, sit up straighter. Start off 3 sets, 10 seconds each leg, and then build up to 20 seconds each leg. I had to learn this out the hard way. Years of stretching and endless physio visits. Back in the day, I actually used to be a goalkeeper before I opened the gym. And one Saturday afternoon, when I was taking a goal kick, my hip flexor just snapped. It literally felt like I was being stabbed in the leg. And the problem wasn't tightness, it was weakness when I needed strength the most, which is why I'm making this video, so that you don't have to go through the exact same shit that I went through for years. Because this next exercise that I'm going to show will be the real first step that you take to bulletproofing your hips for life. Let's check it out. This is a kettlebell hip flexor raise. What you're going to do is hook your foot into the kettlebell, lie back on the bench, and then from here we want to brace our core. So I'm engaging my core and I'm also closing this space off where we would have the arch in our lower back. If you struggle with this, you can even put like a yoga mat or even a small pillow just to close this space off. And then I'm gonna bring my knee up into my chest, pause, and then very, very slowly extend my leg as I bring my foot towards the floor. Drive up and hold. This is really gonna get the hip flexor firing up here. Make sure we're keeping control as we extend our leg. Because why this exercise is so superior to the L sit is now not only are we getting strong in this shorter range, but as long as I'm keeping control as I extend my leg, I'm getting strong into those longer ranges as well. And you really don't need heavy weight to get started with this. Aim for 3 sets, 8 reps each leg. These next 2 exercises are essential for rebuilding elite level strength and mobility back into your hip flexors. But before we get into it, if you want a full hip rebuild system, you can get that in my hip protocol in my school community, where I'll give you step-by-step guidance to rebuilding bulletproof hips for life. The link's in the description. Right, let's get into it. This is an ATG split squat. Start off with your lead leg elevated on a bench or a box around knee level. And if you're a bit shaky with your balance, you can even set up beside something to hold on to. So keep both toes pointing forward. Then from here, you're going to lift your chest up and push your hips forward. Then I'm bringing my knee over the toe while, of course, keeping my hips forward. So as you can see, even though this is a split squat, as I bring the knee over the toe, this is really going to open up the hip flexor, getting it strong in that real end range. Bring the knee over the toe with control and make sure we're keeping tall posture. We don't want to be like this. As soon as I lean forward, I can actually feel like loads of tension come off my hip flexor. So make sure that we're keeping our chest up. And if it helps to keep your hips forward, just squeeze that glute as you get into the end range. So nice and controlled as you bring the knee over the toe. Pause at the end and come out with control. As you build better mobility into your hips and your ankles, you can start to work down into a lower box, and then over time, this might take years, but eventually where we want to finish off is floor level, but make sure we're always keeping our torso nice and tall as we bring the knee over the toe. And how you'll gauge when you're ready to move down is if you're on a box and you're bringing this knee over the toe, you should be able to completely cover this calf with your hamstring. The only thing I should be able to fit through here is a CD. Anything thicker and you're probably not ready to go to a lower box. So if you're, say, coming to here and you can still get that little bit of space, just stick with that height and keep working on your range of motion until you can completely cover this calf, and then gradually work your way down. The ATG split squat is quite intense, so start off with slightly lower volume, aim for 3 sets of 6 to 8 reps each leg. Now we're going to wrap things up with the couch stretch, and I know what you're thinking, this guy's a complete hypocrite, did he not just tell me not to stretch? Well, yes and no. This isn't just a passive stretch, but active range of motion work. I'll show you now. Start off with your leg elevated on a box or a bench, or even a chair if you're doing this at home. Keep this leg 90-degree angle. We want to stay up nice and tall, and then from here I'm going to squeeze this butt cheek and hold that squeeze for 30 seconds each side. My glutes are an antagonist muscle to my hip flexor, so when I squeeze my glutes, that's going to tell my hip flexor to relax. Now, if you don't quite have the mobility to come vertical, you can start with your hands on the floor, and the exact same thing, engage that glute, because watch what happens when I squeeze the glute. It pushes my hips forward, and we're just going to hold that squeeze for the duration of the set, and that's really, really going to get your hip flexor opened up. Stretching alone won't take your problems away, but building strength along with them will. Aim to hit each exercise 2 to 3 times a week, and let me know how you progress in the comments. And remember to check out the link in the description if you want access to the full hip rebuild system. And not many people know this, but weak hips can be the cause of your back pain, so if you want a routine for that, check this out.